Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting the crisis of thought, the prophetic thought model, Sharia versus scientific inquiry, the command to think, the evolution of knowledge, and finally, reviving the analytical mind.
All right, let's jump right in with Section 1, the crisis of thought.
The source makes a pretty bold claim right out of the gate. It argues that we are so overwhelmed today, we've actually started accepting illogical nonsense as logic. I mean, think about it. We get completely dazzled by the sheer pace of modern technological progress, right? We end up blindly adopting these trending global philosophies just because they're wrapped in the shiny packaging of technological advancement. We've basically stopped running ideas through a filter of rigorous logic, and instead we just passively accept whatever the prevailing narrative is.
So to really grasp the proposed solution to this crisis, we've got to define two massive concepts that the text repeatedly emphasizes. Aqal, which means intellect, and Tadabbur, which means deep reflection. And according to the source, these aren't just polite suggestions, they're divine commands. Applying Aqal and Tadabbur means actively, analytically observing the mechanics of the physical universe, literally everything from the cosmos down to a single grain of sand. The idea is that you don't just passively exist, your default state should be one of intense, active intellectual curiosity.
Moving to our next section, let's look at what the explainer calls the prophetic thought model.
According to the framework, the historical blueprint for using our intellect has essentially been hiding in plain sight. Figures from Adam all the way to Prophet Muhammad didn't preach blind, unquestioning adherence in worldly matters. In fact, it was the exact opposite. They were constantly urging people to look up at the night sky, to study how birds migrate, to observe plant growth. It's like they treated the entire physical universe as this incredibly complex code meant to be deciphered by human intellect. They were pushing humanity's gaze outward toward boundless scientific discovery.
And what's really striking here is the night and day contrast between how we operate today versus that original blueprint. The modern approach is pretty flawed. We just blindly follow ancestral assumptions without ever applying logic, and we actively try to shut down difficult questions. But the prophetic approach? It was completely rooted in deep reflection, constantly testing arguments, and just boundless discovery. Early generations actually used this inquiry-driven model to counter foreign philosophies, but somewhere along the line, modern generations seem to have abandoned it for unquestioning obedience.
Which brings us to a really critical conflict in Section 3, Sharia versus scientific inquiry.
The framework draws a very hard boundary here. When it comes to Sharia, or divine law, those principles are immutable. The source explains that injecting personal opinion or trying to rewrite foundational legal principles is restricted. However, in the realm of scientific inquiry and worldly matters, it's a totally different story. You are expressly commanded to unleash your Aqal for limitless observation and deciphering of how the physical universe actually works.
And honestly, this is the brilliant crux of the modern crisis. The source points out this massive, tragic irony. Think about it, where our intellect should be entirely unrestrained. In fields like physics, astronomy, biology, we literally shut our brains down and just say, well, we submit. But where immutable laws were established as firm boundaries, suddenly everybody wants to insert their own personal logic and opinions. We've completely reversed the intended application.
So how do we fix that? Let's get into Section 4, the command to think. The text brings up what it calls the Quranic challenge, and it doesn't ask for blind emotional faith, it demands proof. The repeating injunction is, bring your proof if you are truthful. This is the absolute foundation of Islamic logic. It means you can't just coast on the blind faith of your parents for your worldly, scientific worldview. It demands a highly active, debate-oriented approach where you actually have the courage to dismantle inherited thought models and present valid, structured arguments.
Because we have to constantly challenge these models, we need to understand Section 5, the evolution of knowledge.
The source uses a really fun thought experiment to keep our modern egos in check. So right now, we look back at the past and we marvel at early human intellect, but we also secretly think we're at the absolute peak of technology, right? Because we fly around in vulnerable metal airplanes. But imagine a teenager 1,000 years from now looking back at us. They're probably going to laugh and ask their parents, wait, did they seriously fly in heavy metal tubes that could crash at any moment? Did they have absolutely no common sense?
The big takeaway here is that knowledge is emphatically not static. The framework insists that our current progress in physics or biology isn't the finish line, not even close. It's barely the first step on a staircase of endless discovery. Treating 21st century science or our inherited assumptions as the ultimate peak of human achievement is just intellectually lazy, and honestly, it completely stalls forward momentum.
So, finally, let's explore Section 6, Reviving the Analytical Mind.
The explainer actually outlines a strict syllabus to rebuild our intellect from the ground up, because, well, you can't run before you walk. It starts with argument hygiene, literally relearning what an argument even is and what counts as actual evidence. Once you have that foundation, you move to detecting biases, especially those invisible assumptions we all inherited. Then you learn to spot fallacies and broken arguments, until finally you can construct valid thought models of your own to respectfully dismantle opposing worldviews.
But before you even begin, there are some pretty strict ground rules. First up, leave your ego at the door. You've got to be prepared for every single belief you hold to be rigorously tested. If you're going to defend your worldview, you have to rely purely on structured evidence, not emotion. Your deepest worldviews will be challenged by pure logic. Truth-seeking isn't for those who get easily offended. It requires an incredibly robust and open mind.
We're going to end this explainer today on a really provocative question drawn straight from the framework's core thesis. If the blueprint for limitless intellectual discovery has literally been there all along, if the prophets themselves commanded us to observe the universe and unleash our intellect, why did we stop looking up? It's a question that demands some serious reflection on how we approach both our faith and our pursuit of knowledge. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep questioning, keep observing, and never stop learning.